Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
I'm Leah.
And today we're going to be talking about animals. And we all love animals. If you got a dog or a cat, of course, you love your pet. And we're going to talk about animals that don't really live so much during the day, but we're going to be talking about creatures of the night.
I don't know about you, but when I hear this expression, I think of a Halloween expression, things that go bump in the night. And that means things that are up and around at night, moving at night, and are more active and alive at night. And that's what we're going to be discussing over the next 2 days, different kinds of animals that go bump in the night.
Exactly. Creatures of the night or nocturnal animals. So let's find out what this is all about. Everybody, let's jump right in and read the entire contents of our lesson right now.
Every night, as the sun sets, another world starts to stir. As you prepare to slip into slumber, some animals are just emerging from it. With the songbirds asleep, the silence of the night is easily shattered by an owl's hoot or a wolf's howl. These nocturnal creatures dominate the land while the rest of the world sleeps. The reason some animals prefer night to day is simple: survival. Since many predators hunt during the day, their prey will have better chances of surviving at night. Some predators might have an easier time pursuing prey at night, taking advantage of the lack of competition. Cooler temperatures at night make hunting much less exhausting, too. Nocturnal animals have evolved traits that provide advantages for nighttime existence. They often have much larger eyes, for example. Owls, in particular, have eyes that make up 3% of their body weight. They also have more rod receptors in their eyes, which provide better black and white vision for hunting in the dark. Sense of smell is another favorable adaptation. Foxes, rats, and a large number of insects rely on their noses to help them find food at night. Still, another essential trait for nocturnal predators is hearing. Nocturnal animals need much more sensitive ears than humans have in order to locate their food and attack precisely. Finally, some animals make use of echolocation for their nightly explorations. Most bats emit a high-pitched sound that bounces off prey to reveal its location, which comes in handy for knowing exactly where to strike.
Okay, let's talk about creatures of the night. And every night as the sun sets or when the sun goes down, another world starts to stir. It starts to become active. And as you prepare to slip into slumber, some animals are just emerging from it. So here we've got the word slumber, which basically means sleeping, the state of sleeping. So you're preparing to slip into slumber. You're preparing to go to sleep, basically, to go to bed. But when you're doing that, some animals are emerging from slumber. To emerge means to come out of something. So they were just sleeping during the day, and now they're waking up to be creatures of the night.
I love this expression, slip into slumber, because if you think about it, when you're laying in bed and your eyes are starting to close, you really do kind of slip from being awake into being asleep. You're just kind of falling into it. So that's why they call it fall asleep also, right? Slip into slumber. It's very cool, and it's got that alliteration where you have the two S's. Slip into slumber. With the songbirds asleep, we've got more alliteration, right? So we're keeping that S showing up everywhere. Alliteration is when you take the same sound, normally or definitely a consonant sound, and you repeat it multiple times to kind of attract the reader. So slip into slumber, songbirds asleep, silence, right? It's quite fun. With the songbirds asleep, the silence of the night is easily shattered by an owl's hoot or a wolf's howl. So the songbirds are asleep. The birds that are out there during the day, well, they've gone to sleep at night. Their head is tucked under their wing. They're taking it easy. And the silence of the night, because at night everything gets quite quiet, right? There's not a lot of people going around. There's nobody going to work as much. So it's quite quiet out there. And that is easily shattered. That silence of the night is easily shattered. Shattered means to be broken into thousands of pieces. And when silence is shattered, it means that something noisy comes and breaks the silence, right? It just shatters it. It destroys the silence.
Indeed, so you've got songbirds going asleep. Songbirds, of course, are birds that sing, and there are lots of such birds here in Taiwan, and you don't hear them at night. So they've gone to bed, and of course, then you have this silence, but then what you get is an owl's hoot. If you happen to be in some kind of a rural area or maybe a forest or something, I haven't really heard too many owls' hoots. Yeah, you hear them every once in a while, but not too often. You certainly don't hear that very much in the city.
No.
But yeah, it's been shattered by the owl's hoot. So this loud hoot sound, hoo-hoo, as you said, shatters the silence. It destroys the silence because then there's a sound there. Or you might get the howl of a wolf, which you certainly won't hear here in Taiwan, but you might hear that in other parts of the world, like in Canada or the USA. I think they've even got them in Europe too, right?
Definitely. And the reason why you would hear these animals' noises is because they're awake. They are stirring around. They are nocturnal creatures. So nocturnal means creatures that are active at night. A lot of times someone might say that they are more nocturnal in their habits, and that means that during the day, they tend to take things easy or they sleep more, but at night, they like to be awake. They're more creative at night. And interestingly, those kinds of people are often called night owls because owls are nocturnal animals. So it's kind of a good nickname for people who like to stay up late. These nocturnal creatures dominate the land while the rest of the world sleeps. So if you think about it, when everything's quiet out there and you're asleep, well, somebody else or something else gets to go out there and be the boss. And if you're the boss, well, you're dominating. You're taking control over an area and you're showing your power over that area. So nocturnal animals get to be in charge when everybody else is asleep.
Right, to dominate, you might use that to describe a certain sports team. Oh, they dominated the second half and they won the game as a result. So here the nocturnal animals dominate the land. They're in charge, and then the rest of the world is asleep. Okay, now here in the next paragraph it says, the reason some animals prefer night to day is simple survival. So this is a pattern here to prefer something to something else. I prefer rice to noodles, for example, you could say. I prefer hamburgers to pizza or whatever. So in this particular case, some animals prefer night to day, and there is a reason for that, and that is survival. If you stay awake at night, at least for some animals, you have a better chance of staying alive.
And you notice with this sentence, they say the reason is, and you have the colon here, and then what's on the other side of the colon is really the reason, right? So the reason is simple. What is the reason? Colon, it is survival. Since many predators hunt during the day, their prey will have better chances of surviving at night. Now, predators are creatures that hunt other animals and live off of the meat of those other animals to survive. So a lot of times we think of a predator in movies as being the bad guy who's going out to kill other people who will be their prey. And that's always kind of a scary situation. So predators can be quite scary because they go after other living creatures. And predators, well, since many of them hunt during their day, well, at night, their prey will have better chances of survival. Prey here being the thing that predators catch. They are the creatures that are being caught by predators.
Exactly. So, yeah, if you don't want to be hunted during the day, then you should go sleep somewhere. The predators won't be able to find you, and then you can come out at night. The predators will be asleep, and you'll be okay, and you can hunt your own animals or eat whatever you want to. You'll have a better chance of surviving at night. Now, some predators might have an easier time pursuing prey at night, taking advantage of the lack of competition. That's another reason here predators may have it easier. They may have an easier time of pursuing prey at night because of a lack of competition.
One thing we didn't mention with the word prey here, it's being used as a noun, but you can also prey upon somebody, and then it's the verb. And if you prey upon somebody, then you are being kind of the predator in that situation. So one reason you might hunt at night is because nobody's out there to stop you from hunting at night. You have more chance of catching prey. Another reason might be that cooler temperatures at night make hunting much less exhausting too. So if it's really hot outside, it's really easy to get exhausted when you're rushing around and trying to chase down your dinner. So instead, when it gets a little bit cooler out, the sun's away, then it might be less exhausting to go out and hunt at night. And if you're exhausted, it just means you get really, really tired. You can exhaust your energy, right? And that's the verb form there, and that just means to use up. So if you are using up your energy, then you will be exhausted, and it is exhausting to do things when it's hot outside.
Yeah, it's so exhausting to climb this mountain, and now I'm at the top. I feel exhausted. Okay, so remember, exhausted is how you feel, and exhausting is describing that thing as making you tired. So indeed, hunting can be much less exhausting. It won't take so much effort. You can kill animals with less effort. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in today's lesson. Let's take a break now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今天要带大家来看一下动物界的夜猫子哦。第一段的第一句跟第二句都有 as， 这里的 as 呢都当连接词 when 的意思。当然我们是根据上下文来推断。好，那我们谈的是动物界的夜猫子，就是夜行性的生物。那这个专有词就出现在第一段第四句的地方，前面一点 Nocturnal creatures。Nocturnal creatures， 夜行性的生物。好，那这些夜行性的生物，它在夜晚的时候才活动，为什么会这样？难道它们失眠吗？不是，是因为有一些动物，其实它们比较喜欢夜晚，而更胜过于白天。那为什么呢？就是为了生存嘛。在第二段的第一句特别提到这样子的一个原因。为什么晚上可以生存呢？因为很多的掠食者是在白天狩猎的，那他们的猎物在夜间会比较好的生存的机会。那他们的猎物在夜间活着，那么夜间的生物呢，相对的它就有比较多的食物，而且竞争者也少。好，所以我们看一下第二段第二句第一个字的 since， 在这里可不是表示时间哦，而是 because 表示原因，它同样也是个连接词。也就是说，在英文当中，其实 since 当连接词就是两个意义。第一个是自从加时间，第二等于 because 加上一个原因。那么怎么样判断呢？就是从整个句子当中的文意去做一个判断。不过第三句话我们刚刚说在夜晚的时候比较能够追捕到猎物。第三句这里有一个特殊的片语，片语叫做 have a good time doing something。Have an easy time doing something. Have a hard time doing something. 做某事很开心，做某事很容易，做某事很困难。重点在于 time 后面要加上动词 ing， 所以这里要特别画起来哟。比较容易能够追捕到 Have an easier time doing something, pursuing prey at night. 好。这是第一个重点。同样这句话中间逗点之后的 taking 它是个分词构句哦。taking 原本应该是两个字 and take， 那这个 and 是连接什么动词呢？就连接第三句的第一个动作 might have， 这里的 have。 那么这些 predators 在夜晚比较容易追捕到，而且比较能够利用竞争比较少的优势，再加上在夜间它的气温比较凉爽，所以狩猎就不那么累咯。
We're going to take a short break now, but please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, we're back again, and now we're going to continue on. Nocturnal animals have evolved traits that provide advantages for nighttime existence. So nocturnal animals, animals that are active at night, have developed traits that provide advantages for nighttime existence. We all have been evolving throughout history. All sorts of creatures, all sorts of plants are constantly evolving or developing in new ways and not developing in other ways because of our environments. I love this word evolved. It reminds me of a Super Mario Brothers movie where there is a bad guy who's got his Devo gun. So evolved means to develop. Devolve or devolution means to kind of go backwards in time and to kind of get worse as you go on. So evolution means kind of improvements over time. Devolution means going backwards. And in Super Mario Brothers, he's got a Devo gun and he goes and he shoots people with it and they kind of devolve into a previous, creation of who they are. So a human might become a chimpanzee or something like that. It was kind of a funny concept in the movie. Nocturnal animals have evolved traits, have evolved characteristics that give them advantages for nighttime existence or survival.
Right, so this has happened over thousands of years. They've developed these traits, and that gives them some advantages to hunt at night. It gives them some advantages for nighttime existence, so it's better for them to be active at night and not during the day. Now, they often have much larger eyes, for example. So when we think of nocturnal animals, of course, one of the first animals that comes to mind is the owl. And yes, indeed, owls in particular have eyes that make up 3% of their body weight.
Wow.
Which is a lot. I don't have any other animals to compare to right now, but that sounds like an awful lot. They do have very big eyes, so their eyes are very important, and that's an example of evolution, giving them bigger eyes so that they're better able to survive at night.
And their eyes are not only just big, they also have more rod receptors in their eyes. Okay, so rod receptors, what do? They provide better black and white vision for hunting in the dark. So they not only have big eyes, they also have these rods in their eyes. A lot of times we talk about rods and cones. Rods are for low light, cones are for higher light levels. And rod receptors, so that's the way that your eyes receive light. They receive it through the rods and the cones, and these provide better black and white vision for hunting in the night. When we talked about receptors, we talk about things like, solar power receptors, or maybe in a camera, I think you've mentioned before, Tom.
Mm-hmm. It could be the sensor or something that responds to like light or heat or something like that. So yes, it's a receptor, and we use this in biology a lot, especially when we talk about our eyes. We have different color receptors in our eyes. Some animals don't have as many, so they're not able to see so many colors. So these are called rod receptors, and they have more of them in their eyes, and that provides them with better black and white vision for hunting in the dark. So I guess they still can't see colors, but black and white is better than nothing. They can see at night, they can see in the dark, whereas for us humans, we couldn't see anything. It would be all dark, but they can see something, so they can hunt it, swoop down, and get it.
Sense of smell is another favorable adaptation. So sense of smell, we've talked about, different elements in your eyesight that might be good adaptations to help you hunt at night. An adaptation is something where your body, or something that you are doing, but something where your body has adapted or changed itself to be able to handle its environment better. So one adaptation that your body might have made over time is that your brain has become more complex to handle more complex thought. That's a gradual adaptation as our bodies have evolved. You can also make adaptations in your day-to-day life to be able to handle your day-to-day life better. For example, if you like to go out camping and you want to collect water so that you don't need to go to a shop and buy water, then you might make something to catch rainwater, and that would be an adaptation you've made to your tent so that it can catch water better and you can survive on the land.
Right, or it could be a version of something like the film adaptation of a novel. For example, some people say the film adaptation of Stephen King's novel The Shining was better. That is kind of a matter of opinion, but in any case, that's what an adaptation is, and the sense of smell is another favorable adaptation, something they've evolved to have, and they can smell really well. Not the owls here, but some other animals. We've got foxes, rats, and a large number of insects. They rely on their noses to help them find food at night. So yes, indeed, evolution has improved the sense of smell in some animals, such as foxes, such as rats, and lots of different kinds of insects. And all of these animals depend on their noses to find food at night. They've got really sensitive smelling.
And that would be a favorable adaptation that they have there. So favorable means a positive one, a good one, something that gives you favor or gives you a benefit. If it would be an unfavorable adaptation, then maybe it would make you very loud and heavy so that as you're walking through the forest, you're scaring away all of your prey. That would be very unfavorable. It would not help you out. Still, another essential trait for nocturnal predators is hearing. So another thing that really helps them out is hearing. Well, how does that work? Nocturnal animals need much more sensitive ears than humans have in order to locate their food and attack precisely. So animals at night, they need to be able to hear different sounds like a twig breaking or something walking on leaves. So they need very sensitive ears, and they need them to be more sensitive than the ears that humans have because they really are going to rely on that hearing sensitivity to locate their food, right? So if you think about it, if you're in the woods and you hear a stick break, it takes you a while to be able to figure out where that stick broke. But an animal has to be better at that because they need to attack right away so they can catch that food and be able to eat it.
Right, so we've talked about the sense of smell, we've talked about the sense of sight, and now we've got the sense of hearing, and that's essential. It's important for nocturnal animals. Nocturnal animals need much more sensitive ears than humans have in order to locate their food and attack precisely. So here we've got the word precisely. It's an adverb here. It just means in exact terms, the exact way it's supposed to be. And I'm imagining that they attack right down to the single millimeter of the location of the actual animal that they're hunting, like bats with their echolocation, which we'll talk about in a second here. They can zero in on their target and attack precisely. They won't be off 1 millimeter.
So finally, some animals make use of echolocation for their nightly explorations. So echolocation is kind of a self-explanatory word, right? You get an echo of sound coming into your ear. Echo, 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 bong. It gets into your ear. And from those echoes of sound, you can go, oh, I know exactly where that prey is. If I go 100 meters in this direction, it's going to be there and I can eat it. So they need that echolocation and they use it for their nightly explorations. Exploration here just kind of means a travel out, an adventure. A lot of times is what exploration would be. You think about different explorers in history who have gone off in ships and found new lands as they were on their explorations. These explorations are really these animals' attempts to find dinner.
Right. Exploration is most often used as kind of a concept, the exploration of space, for example, but here we're using it as a countable noun. A nightly exploration, which of course refers to when bats or foxes or whatever head out and look for prey. They're exploring for prey, so it's their explorations. And most bats emit a high-pitched sound that bounces off prey to reveal its location, which comes in handy. It's useful for knowing exactly where to strike. So, okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
当然，这些夜行性动物啊，它们身上有一些特征，所以它们在晚上其实是比较容易生存的。我们接下来看到第3段第一句的地方有一个限定用法的关系子句，先行词是 traits 特征。那么关系子句就从后面的 that 一直到句尾的地方。那么它们有这样子的特征之后呢，当然在夜间生存比较有利。比如说眼睛可能比较大，比如说猫头鹰它的眼睛居然就占了体重的3%呢。同样这一段第2句我们看到猫头鹰的眼睛占体重3%，在这一段当中第3句我们看到有一个限定用法的关系子句，先行词就是 eyes 眼睛怎样呢？占了体重3%，限定用法关系子句从 that 一直到句尾的地方。而且啊，猫头鹰的眼睛有更多的视感感受器 rod receptors。那么这种视感感受器呢，就让它在黑暗当中有比较好的黑白视觉。接下来的第4句看到的是补充说明的关系子句，先行词是 rod receptors in their eyes， 逗点之后的 which。当然就代替的是眼睛当中的视觉感受器、视感感受器。那么一直到句尾的地方都补充说明，这样子黑白视觉在夜间是比较好的、比较有利的。当然除此之外呢，还有嗅觉，比如说像狐狸啊、老鼠，大量的昆虫其实是靠着鼻子在夜间寻找食物的。那我们现在提到了这些 Nocturnal creatures 夜行性的生物，它的一些生物的特征，第一个 sight 视力，第2个 smell 嗅觉，那么第3个在第4段的地方出现了就是听力。不过第4段呢，一开始用的是 still another。我们如果提到列举的时候，逐一的列举某样人事物，第一个会用 one， 第2用 another，第3才会出现 still another。 当然我们根据文意的判断已经很清楚了，提到视觉，提到嗅觉，所以第3种 still another。 另外一种重要特征就是听觉啦。比如说呢，有一些动物就会用 Echolocation 回声定位来进行探索，像大部分的蝙蝠都会发出一种高音调的声音，这样子呢就可以从猎物身上反弹声音显示位置，就知道要怎么样去做攻击了。所以我们看一下最后面第4段这边第4句，最后第4句的地方，我们看到一个限定用法的关系子句，先行词是 a high-pitched sound， 后面关系子句从 that 一直到逗点的地方。不过逗点之后注意还有一个 which 是补充说明， which 则代替的是逗点前面整句话的意思哦。我们明天要看3种夜猫子的动物，明天记得准时收听，我是安娜，我们明天见。
That's all the time we have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and please do join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Leah.
Goodbye.